of Education will come to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bridget, our mission statement, please.
At Richmond Community Schools, we provide a quality education that empowers students to be successful in a global community.
Bridget, roll call. Thank you. And roll call, please.
Deb?
Here.
Angela? Here. I'm here. Kyle?
Here.
Danielle?
Here.
Margaret? Here. Jerry? Here. Thank you.
Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
My motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I am looking for a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
My motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the consent agenda as presented in the attached documentation.
Do I have support?
Support.
Mr. Walmsley, anything we have going on?
In the personnel report, we have 3 resignations. Clarence Miller, the 8th grade basketball coach, resigned prior to the season starting. Kathleen Gentner, a Title I teacher at Lee Elementary School, submitted her resignation. She's taken a position in another district. I believe she has about another week and a half with us. And Shelley Dalio, the first Tech Challenge coach, resigned from that position. We had 1 termination in the backup. You'll see that information. Doug Nooncaster has been being recommended to hire as the new 8th grade basketball coach. And then we have 2 appointments. One is Shelley Dalio, who is going to the high school robotics program, so she moved from the middle school to the high school. And then we have Darlene McNichols. I believe Darlene is here. She is currently a high school secretary, but she will become the new 4th grade teacher at the middle school. So welcome, Darlene.
Yay!
You want to say anything?
No. Haven't gotten there yet, but next week.
Darlene comes with a wealth of experience, and we're excited to have her joining the middle school teaching team. There were no corrections for the minutes from December 13th, and I received no questions for the claims and accounts.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yeah, can we just, for our records, the recommendation from Mr. Reinhardt says freshman boys basketball coaching position and it's 8th grade. Can we change that so it reflects the correct person we're recommending, correct position? Thank you. And just Darlene, yay, hooray for you. How exciting for you. Very happy.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to go into closed session.
Pursuant to Section 8B of the Michigan Open Meetings Act and upon the request of the student's parents and their guardian, I move that the Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of conducting a hearing to consider the discipline of a student whose identity is known as student 011022-8.
Do I have support?
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will be going into closed session and then coming back out. The board is back in open session at 9:10. At this time, I'm asking a member of the board to please make a motion to table our presentation section till the next board meeting.
Due to the fact that we had 1 student hearing and we have another one, I'd like to make a motion for our 3 presentations for this evening, which was the high school grading policy, the teacher cadet, etc. program, the athletic budget overview, that we table it to our meeting on January 24th. With my apologies to those that were here to do the presentations, but it's been a long night already and your presentations are important and we'd like to do them.
Second. Do I have support? Support. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to go into closed session for a discipline hearing.
Pursuant to Section 8B of the Michigan Open Meetings Act and upon the request of the student's parents and/or guardian, I move that the Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of conducting a hearing to consider the discipline of a student whose identity is known as student 011022-B.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're going back into open session at 9:52. Okay, at this point, Mr. Walmsley, an update.
We are moving closer and closer to the completion of projects. There are still items that are on back order or supply chain issues. The weight room is probably going to be pretty close by the end of January to be moving in the gymnasium. We're waiting for our certificate of occupancy. The equipment should be here in about 2 weeks, excuse me. It is actually ahead of schedule to furnish that room in the middle school. Previously, I talked to the board about that parking lot, the athletic parking lot, and I did poll the board, and it was very definitive that if we have bonds, the board would consider it or we're interested in it, but not out of general fund. So I just want to bring to your attention, we're going to be bringing to you in spring the sale of the last series, which is for about $833,000. That series is scheduled to be currently a bus, the roof, which is the part of the gym of the elementary school, and technology. And originally, when that technology line item was in there, it was for laptops. And we have since replaced our laptops in the last 3 years, the entire district, with CARES and ESSER money. So the dollars would be there if we wanted to use that last series of funds to put that parking lot in. It would help in an overflow, just take athletics off when we have events at the elementary school. Even though we've added that parking lot, there's never enough parking lot for activities over there. So I guess I'm looking for direction so I can meet with the bond committee which would be the architect and the contractor, to move forward in planning that. The parking lots that we're doing, the rest of the parking lots, we're splitting over 2 summers. Last summer, we lost 27 days because of the weather when we did the elementary parking lot. So we were nearing the 11th hour to get that parking lot finished. Because of the other, we're splitting it into 2 series. So this summer, we will do the student front parking lot, the auditorium parking lot, and the road that goes between the high school and the gymnasium, or the football field. And the summer of '23, we will do the back middle school parking lot, the middle school gym parking lot, and the road that runs in front of the middle school, just so we can have access to the buildings and areas without tearing up all the roads. Those would be a lot quicker because we're not redesigning parking lots. So this project, if the board wants to pursue this field or parking lot, would be done in one of those 2 summers. It would either be the summer of '22 or the summer of '23. I'd have to meet with the bond committee to discuss it. But as I said, they estimated that it's approximately $75,000 to put that parking lot in, with a potential of between about 5 for civil and engineering drawings to come. So potentially $80,000 at the high end is what they're estimating. So I guess I'm just looking for direction to either continue or not continue it, and then if it's not, then at the end of the bond project with all the unspent funds or the stuff that is coming under budget would come back to the board to recalculate those. It would just be, if we're going to do it, it would be prime to do it when we're doing other asphalt projects, to get a bigger bang for our dollar. Doing this by itself may cost more because it's a very small project.
We all know what since I've said it for years. And we were also told that we could make this happen through our bond money. So
That's where I am.
As long as we have bond money, I say go forward.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
interested in
The
general
general
fund
fund,
part.
yeah. If there is bond money, I say move forward.
I agree. Money, agree.
So using bond money. Okay, so Tammy and I will get with the bond committee, we'll lay out the final projects for the bond sale that's already sold, and add on to that the potential that will come to you. I believe it will come in early May, might be April, a resolution to authorize the last sale of the series. And as I said to you, I think in a previous communication, it's locking in the interest rates. Interest rates are expected to begin rising, so we want to lock it in as low as rate as possible.
Brian, do you remember how many spots it was going to provide? Like,
How many?
Can we possibly go a tiny bit bigger, because it sounded small? Is there space to go a little bit bigger?
I will see how far we can go without having, because at some point you've got to now put underground retention in. And that's what we're trying to avoid, to allow the water to run off and naturally go into the ground. But after a certain size, the rules and regulations require that underground retention. So, you know, I'm trying to get as big as I can without having those costs. So I'll report back to you before we get into any of that in terms of the size and the layout. But, okay.
Thank you. We are not doing agenda item 10, so now we are at public comments. Since the last board meeting, I did receive an email, that I was actually CC'd on an email that went to Mr. Castle about, I believe it was a parent providing active shooter and active violence training. I also received another email regarding some technical issues on the virtual holiday preschool program, which I know Mr. Walmsley already addressed with that parent. That's it. At this time, any member of the public may address the board. Please sign in and state your name. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. Are there any public comments?
I actually made copies so that I can have, you guys can all have my emails.
Yeah, we'll share.
Sorry, thanks, Beth. I've been there time and time again. I'll address it again. We, the people, vote on and essentially hire the board. You then represent the public's interests, values, and the needs of the community, our community, Richmond. Not those voices from the outside, which have been very loud, rustling feathers. We've been here time and time again, reminding you who we are, and I'll remind you all once again, we are children's biggest advocates. We respect your choice and your freedom to choose what you personally feel is safe for yourself, but respect that I get to choose what's safe for my child. Whatever you want to wear and not wear is fine. We have asked you to keep this as a Richmond choice regarding the masks. Your health is your responsibility. My child's health is my responsibility. It states loud in our Constitution that our children have the right to peacefully assemble, which, given their 3 to 6 feet, they can't do that. They barely get to hang out with each other unless extracurricular. Just a side note, the American with Disability and OSHA both do not follow mask mandates. Masks are neither effective nor safe, so they do not follow those or require those. Richmond board members have been engaged in other group meetings, yet we, the parents over here, have never really heard anything from our board members. So while you guys are participating in other meetings from other groups, we get 3 minutes before you tell us it's time to go. We see a lot of energy between some of the board members up here with their beliefs that, you know, when they get excited, but we don't see that same energy on our end. I remember last time we asked and we got to have you guys write the letter to keep this within Richmond. I'd like to still do the same. It's time that we get loud. A lot of things are starting to go on. I don't want to return virtual with my child. Whoever wants to be virtual can stay virtual. Whoever wants to wear a mask can wear a mask. As for mine, we won't do it. I'm frustrated. Our children deserve better than this. Like I said, if you're scared, stay home. My children remain victors in a room full of self-proclaimed victims. Not doing it. We'll continue to do what we love, and if you fail them, unfortunately, I will pull my students. I'm at the point of pulling my students. I'm done with it being political and indoctrination of the whole system. So I left you guys all my email. If you guys feel like you guys want to reach out, now everybody has the information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, guys. I'm Shelby Paul. My child is in elementary. First, I would like to say thank you for standing strong with the decision of the choice and not holding to the narrative like a lot of districts have done in the last few weeks. And what the districts have done, they went right back to the starting line. Obviously, it has worked, and now they're going right back, which is insane. Insanity. It's just expecting different outcomes. I hope we can continue as a district to not violate the rights of our children, the rights of us parents, and to have and make the health choices we feel is best for us. Also, I hope our district continues to not muzzle our children by forcing masks that research continues to prove don't work. I would like to this district to continue to not follow the wishy-washy, ever constantly changing recommendations of the CDC or the Biden administration or even our Michigan government right now. I know a lot of stuff is coming down the pipeline, and they're voting a lot of things to affect recently, and all these choices are going to be made here in the next probably 48 hours. So just stay strong. Most of the things that have been voted on in the past have been, and we had to follow all the mandates and stuff like that, were unconstitutional. Remember that. And as quick as it is late. Just remember, if you're ever worried about the choices that, and what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, remember that the scared people in our district are choosing virtual already. So don't push the rest of our district that are more than willing to, have our freedoms and not wear the masks and stuff like that, are all at school every single day, and our wonderful staff members feel the same or here every single day if they can. People are going to get sick. We understand that. There's a million things going around other than just the one that is always pushed. So just remember that you do provide virtual and instruction, in-person instruction, and that we all appreciate that. And people can make their own choices. So I want this district to really think about keeping our freedoms and doing the right thing based off of our children and stuff like that, because we don't want them living in fear either, okay? So, but I want to thank you, even though we've taken 2 days, because we are having some issues with staffing and stuff like that. It's understood. It happens. People get sick, whatever it may be. We would rather take 1 or 2 days than switch and go virtual or anything like that. It's definitely a lot safer mentally and everything else like that for our children. To that. But thank you for your time. Let's get this over and done quick because it's late.
Thank you. Being no other public comments, we will move on in our agenda. Mr. Walmsley, Superintendent and Legislative Update.
Just to follow up on the 2 items that you said regarding the active shooter and active violence, we did follow up with that parent. In fact, today, regarding the preschool parent, our team met regarding going forward for future broadcast resources we have to make it a better experience if we have to do virtual. So just as a follow-up, we did do that. At the last board meeting, there was an employee came up and talked about concerns about an active shooter. I asked Mr. Reinhardt and Mr. Castle to follow up with her to address all of the concerns. Mr. Reinhardt reported back that all clarifications and concerns were addressed. I do want to publicly say no one ever said to run towards the active shooter. That goes against everything, but everything else we've addressed. There was another parent that came to the podium and talked about bullying in our schools. I asked, and there was made some accusations accusations regarding some staff members. I asked Mrs. Lashbrook and Mr. Reinhardt to coordinate that and look into it. We've contacted that parent multiple times. They have yet to return our phone calls. So with that, we did look into it. We found no validity in the claims with what we know of. But the statement was also that we do not protect kids against bullying. And I think it's important to say this really hit home for me because I know of our administrative teams and our schools do a lot of stuff to try to prevent it. Just to give you a sense, at the high school, when we talk about bullying, we're also talking about the mentally, social, emotional health of our kids. They've really focused on recognizing positive behaviors and kindness through their weekly Code Blue Winners. Mr. Castle is out there every single day welcoming staff members as well as their students as well as other staff members in the hallway, greeting them, try to make a personal connection, try to look for body language of students. There's been social and emotional surveys that have been done to students to see where they are and what the data is showing so that we can provide support either through our counselor or social worker. There was a creation of Every Mind Matters, which is a group that's run by staff. If you've seen it on Facebook, it's had some remarkable shares and remarkable information that was shared that discusses and implements social and emotional supports for kids and what they can do each and every day. If you've heard the announcements at the high school, every single day there's a message that's read to the student body that says, never forget that Richmond High School is a family. We may not always agree on everything, but we take care of each other. We look out for each other. We stand up for each other. Be the best version of yourself today. Have a great day. We love you. That is read every single day. Again, these are statements that we're trying to change a culture and create an environment where kids feel safe. We've done social groups. There is a strict, if we know about bullying, it is not tolerated. Mrs. Borg from the Dean of Students is very much on top of this. We've done outreaches and brought in services from Macomb Family Services and Care of Southeast Michigan. And oftentimes we use our school liaison officer to mediate conflicts between students. That's just at the high school. At the elementary school, they focus a lot on character assemblies. They focus on kindness and what we do. They have a buddy bench and they incorporate that into activities in the classroom. That's just a few items. But for the middle school, I think it's important because that's where the accusation was held. Michigan has partnered, the middle school has partnered with what's called Sweet 360 and Michigan Cares program, and it offers digital lessons for kids to help develop positive mental health and how to deal with social and emotional skills that they're dealing with at that age group. It deals with how to manage stress, emotional care. This is all done through their advisory hours every Friday, and they have a schedule of when they're doing things. The curriculum is evidence-based. It's through the Castle's framework, CASEL. It's not Mr. Castle. Lessons have pre and post tests to determine what students learn. The social worker, the counselor, the dean of students have created a team to really focus this year on the social and well-being of our students. And again, there's a systemic, thoughtful plan that they're doing. The goal is really 5, to address and reduce bullying in the school. And they do this by teaching students what do they do if they see or experience bullying. Teaching students how to handle their own emotions and actions so they feel better about themselves so they don't waste it on treating others poorly. Helping students feel success at school and feeling a part of a school community. And if you've ever had an opportunity, which I know all of you had in some fashion, there is a tight-knit school community at that middle school that Mr. Bartels has led. So that's really what they're trying to accomplish. Identifying students that need extra support, we call them Tier 1, Tier 2, and how do we deal with, provide social groups for those students. And then ultimately our Tier 3, which is the highest level of support with our social worker and counselor and Mr. Bartels and Mr. Berkmeyer. So some of the statements that were made, I just want to put on record, were not true. Can we do more? Absolutely, we're willing to do more. But our schools, our administrative, our teachers, our support staff are all trying to create an environment in which kids feel safe. And I think in the last month, I think we've been pretty remarkable that we have students feeling safe to come up and speak up and say things or identify things. That's what we're all about. We need to look out for each other. In response to some of the public comments tonight, you are right. There has been recently more of a vocal group that is trying to put masks, and let me put it this way, force schools to go to a mask mandate. I have been very supportive of this board and what we've decided that it is a choice in our community. We've dealt with some ups and downs. We've dealt with some high quarantine rates. This last day I had to close school just because of staffing issues and trying to get people well. But we are still, and I still recommend this board remain a choice district. But I do want to report, as part of my job, is I think I need to take an opportunity to make sure I listen to both sides. And I was grateful because I remember at the beginning, and I can't remember how far ago it was, but we met at Beebe Street Park, and I listened to the group, and just that perspective to bring what we put ultimately as a plan for our district. Well, this past Wednesday, this group called Macomb Parents for Safe In-Person Learning sent an email out to the governor, legislators, superintendents, board members, or they didn't have many of your correct emails or even many correct board members from our district invited. So I did attend to listen. I wanted to. I was the only superintendent that opted to join. I was the only, I guess, non-parent or board member. There were just a handful of board members that did. I did put it out to this board, and I know some of you tried, but it was very limited who they let in to this group. It was all about, though I respect their opinion and I respect their belief, it was about trying to make change in other districts that they don't belong. They don't live, they don't reside, let me put it that way. And they allowed me about 10-15 minutes of conversation, probably because I was the only superintendent there and they wanted to convince me. But I simply said, it's about the community's choice in our district, and it's about us deciding what's in our best interest. Though I respect your decision, if you're coming from a district that has gone to a full mask, I tried very tactfully to say that that's your community and what your community needs to decide, and we need to decide what's in our best interest for our community. So I think once they realized they weren't swaying me in terms of an option, they kind of directed it. And though each one had a story, and I was on for about an hour listening to their unique stories or why we should mask or their unique circumstances. And some of them were very heartfelt stories. I would not wish that on anybody, what some of these parents have dealt with. However, I kept going back to there are options you have, and in Richmond, if you want a mask option, nobody's telling you can't wear a mask to school. If you don't want to wear a mask, nobody's telling me that you have to. And I may say in my letters that, I'm going to say this is recommended, because I at least need to do my due diligence and say, here's what the CDC or the scientists or the health department, whoever it is. I'm no scientist, I'm no epidemiologist, I don't know if I said it the right way. That is not my background, so I do rely on those, but I also believe wholeheartedly it's people's choice and further. So I just want to report, I did attend. I did excuse myself after an hour. They were still on the call after I exited off the call. Prior to the break, the Macomb County Health Department's rules and regulations had us following quarantine guidelines one way. Over break, it got switched to another way. 10 days, in essence, is where we're at right now from the health department. And then in that time, the CDC reduced theirs and went down to 5 days. We are expecting the quarantine guidelines to change again in terms of going to mirror more the CDC, which is going to be a 5-day. They are, and I say they, I'm talking about the CDC and the health department, redefining what is considered to be vaccinated to be a fully vaccinated to include the booster, which changes the rules. And it's all going to depend on how the health department applies this under that health code. And I did not write it down there, but I think last August I told you the code that they were, the health law that they were using. We're watching it. There's even conversations, though I've not seen anything in writing, that they may even just throw out the contact tracing and we're only dealing with positive cases. Which I say that publicly because I don't know what it's going to be. It's come, we have to see. I can tell you our administrators it'll be a gift from heaven because the hours they spend on contact tracing is a lot. We have some good news. I'm going to have Miss Era talk about a grant that we received.
Oh, hey, so this is the reason I stayed. There was a grant opportunity for the 61C equipment grant, and even Ms. Michon was on our advisory team that discussed this grant, and after 8 pages of narrative style writing and looking up economic business trend data for Macomb County in the next 10 years, and as much fun as that was, and all these different budget details and everything, we finally got the award notice on Friday that our business CTE class was awarded $20,000 for equipment to better the program.
Nice.
As you get to know Ms. Era more and more, when she has her mind focused on something, there's nothing let it up. And I think Tammy and Jamie can vouch for me on that one in the office. She's going to get it done and figure out a way. We're also awarded another grant, child care, I'm drawing a blank, Tammy, help me out, stabilization fund. It was a shot at the dark to get it, and we were awarded $122,000.
Wow.
So we will still be coming back to the board with what we can do, but I think a lot of work from these ladies at the end of the table to put it together, but we are going after every grant we can to help offset costs. So there are some requirements of that which will, that we will have to do, which I didn't see any issues, but I will bring it back in terms of when we talk about the budget and how we're going to allocate it. So I'm very excited. I thank them for that. I'm going to put a call out to the community. There is no secret. We are short substitutes. This new state law that was passed through June says we can move support staff into teaching positions. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing in all cases, because not everybody wants to be in front of a class. I'm looking at options of if those that are in that position want to step up and be a substitute teacher, what are our options? Because I got to backfill their position. So, potentially we're looking for everything from parapros. We are in desperate need of custodial staff. We just cannot find people. We're not alone. I think Utica has 30 custodial openings alone. There's not people applying or following through, or they're starting the process and not following through. So if you know someone who's looking for a job, we have custodial, substitute parapros, sometimes substitute secretaries, we need substitute teachers, we need substitutes. So I told Jamie I would put his name out there, I'll get in contact, and we will walk you through it. We'll give you a computer in our office if you need help logging in and creating the application. But if you know someone, spread the word. We need support. And as of right now, our plan is to reopen on Wednesday. I do not see a need to move forward. I was looking at an option if I had to move to a virtual. We're not going to go virtual. We're going to still be in person. So we will reopen on Wednesday.
Thank you for that.
I will tell you, it was a very hard decision Sunday night.
I know there's some high school kids that need some credits to graduate, so
Yeah. Community service, there you go.
So that's
it?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is interest from board. I don't know, Kyle, we'll start at your end tonight. Anything?
I got nothing.
Thank you. Danielle?
I just had 2 things. One, I tried to get on the call that Brian was talking about the other day, and I asked for an agenda. It's like, probably not worth my time. No, after seeing the agenda, I could tell where that was going, so I stayed away from that one. But I also want to just say thanks for keeping that mask an option as opposed to a mandate. You know, we don't need to follow the quote-unquote leader. So I appreciate that, and my kids appreciate it too.
Angela?
I'm all set, thank you.
Sherry?
I'm all set, thank you.
Margaret?
I tried to get on that meeting and they wouldn't let me in, and Brian said it was because I did it through my phone as opposed, and they didn't recognize my number, so I think I waited like 25 minutes and I tried reaching out to the people and nobody answered. Because I agree with you, Danielle, on what the agenda, but I still wanted to listen to what they had to say and see where they were coming from. So I'm glad that Brian did what he did and participated in that. I just wish that I had had a chance to at least listen to the people. But I just want to ask Brian, what about the parent that was at the last meeting that had the concern, she had the Lee School student, and when we closed down high school, we kept the other buildings, she wasn't notified, and I know we talked about protocols. What did we do about that?
So what we, thank you for reminding me, I completely forgot about that. When we shut down the high school on December 10th, afterwards we debriefed as a team to figure out what worked, what didn't. We brought the liaison officer. In fact, this past week we met with the chief of police, fire, EMS representatives to talk about that too, to become better. What we found was when you go into school messenger, you click on what you're going to do, like I'm going to do a new broadcast, and then you have to pick on what the group you're going to send it to. The elementary and middle schools were not selected. When we delegated duties in terms of, all right, you're calling, you're stationed at the door, I was calling you to say, can you let the board know we're all, the elementary and middle, so those families that had no connection to the high school at all did not get the message. So like when I send mine out on Sunday, it's by building code, and then there's a group that you can do if you just want to do staff. So I choose everybody, I just select everybody. So sometimes we'll have students from St. A's and St. Pete's that will get our messages because they're in our system because we provide special education services for them, for those families. So when we analyze it, that was the reason why families did not get it.
And did we let that mom know that that's what the issue was?
I didn't.
I
let
did.
her.
You did?
I did.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
That was.
I did, because she emailed me back, and I knew after, I had talked with Brian, so I knew what the issue was, so I just let her know.
Okay.
And she's fine. She's thanked me and thanked us for checking into that, so.
So one of the things that came out of this, I now, for the next issue that we got to deal with, I created a kind of a chart that kind of divvies up who does what. When we write the script and when we get to the school messenger, it says make sure to it's a reminder to make sure they check all the boxes. So.
Anything else on that?
Nope.
Good. Okay. I'm good too. I did too. I just want to say I did too try to get on. They had my wrong email address. I emailed them earlier in the week. They did not, I did get a reply, but they said, well, we'll contact you like at 6:30 or something before the meeting. Well, I never got a contact. Brian sent me his, so I thought I could just log in under a normal Zoom. No, they had it, again, they had a block for specifics. So Brian did share with me what they talked about. I was like you, Margaret, I just kind of wanted to hear what
the other side would
what they were saying or what they were talking about. Okay, nothing else.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
There were two Richmond parents on that call. One was chosen to homeschool their kids, and the other wants a mask mandate, but wasn't really, I don't want to say she wasn't pushing, but she really thinks that we should have a mask mandate. And again, I reiterated, there's nothing preventing you from wearing masks in schools, etc. They were very nice, don't get me wrong, but there were two Richmond parents on that call.
Thank you. Okay, we're on item 14, action items. I am looking for a motion for the approval of board resolution for student 011022A, a discipline hearing.
Move the following closed session student discipline hearing. The board votes to expel student 011022A, consistent with the attached resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion for approval of board resolution for student 011022B, discipline hearing.
Move the following closed session student discipline hearing. The board votes to, do I say permanently? Thank you. To permanently expel student 011022B, consistent with the attached resolution.
Support? Support. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'm looking for the approval of a wage increase for childcare, preschool teacher aides, and GSRP lead and associate teachers.
A motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve a 3% pay increase for childcare, preschool teachers, and aides, and GSRP lead and associate teachers, employees as outlined in the attached documentation.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Brian, I'm sorry, is the amount over 10? Do we have to roll
I will do
call?
it as a roll call.
Wait, roll call? I think it is, because I think
Yeah.
it's over.
On the sheet of one.
Yes. they have.
Okay, so Sherry?
Aye.
Margaret?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Angela? Aye. Danielle?
Aye.
Bridget? Aye. And I vote aye, motion carries. Being no further business, the board will adjourn at 10:28.